year number 71 for the United States Open Claycourt Championships, a tradition brought to Indianapolis by tournament director Stan Maless. Players from 32 different countries arrive at the Indianapolis airport, including five-time US Claycourt winner Evert Lloyd and her husband Britisher John Lloyd. They are escorted, as are all arriving players, by part of a volunteer force that numbers in the hundreds. Tennis is a tough ticket in Indy come the early or late rounds, and this year is no exception. With a fine crowd on hand in the stadium court, the defending champion's first test is a tough one. Lloyd in the far court is pushed to the limit by 25-year-old Joanne Russell. The final score is 7-5, 6-4 for Lloyd, but not before running around like this in the heat and humidity that were to prevail all week long. Even the great ones have to struggle. Fine tennis can be seen throughout these grounds. Tennis historian Ted Tinling informs stadium crowds as master of ceremonies.
The great question when Stan Maless and Mayor Hudnup discussed moving tennis from the suburbs into Center City was whether in fact this would work, because tennis had been something of an elitist sport in elitist areas, and the question of it, whether it would be successful in downtown was, I know, very widely questioned. And it's now we are into our second year, and I've been absolutely delighted to have been a part of what was an experiment and is now a total success.
It is a familiar face in the women's semifinals. Evert Lloyd always seems to save her best for Indy. Lloyd's opponent, 19-year-old Ivana Madruga. The promising Argentine has patterned her style after countryman Guillermo Vilas. With ground strokes that have brought her to the semis without loss of a set, Madruga figures to give Evert Lloyd quite a test. But in a way, this is a new Chrissie. After a respite earlier in the year, Lloyd is a more aggressive player, and that is sure to come as a surprise to her baseline-anchored opponent. A night's worth of frustration and a bout with indigestion is definitely taking its toll on Madruga. Down a set in love 3, the chase is over. Madruga has to retire, and a concerned Evert Lloyd moves into the finals. The crowds are also buzzing about yet another women's prodigy. Pig-tailed Andrea Jaeger comes into Indianapolis from Lincolnshire, Illinois. Showing a Claycourt savvy of a woman twice her age, this 15-year-old has lost a paltry 5 games in her 3 previous matches. But never before has Jaeger come away from a match against a player of Evonne Goolagong's caliber a winner. Goolagong is playing for the first time since her championship performance at Wimbledon 1 month ago. The 29-year-old mother has twice before been a finalist in the Claycourts, but today it is the spunky kid who looks and plays like the veteran of so many years. With a stunning 6-4, 6-2 win, Roland Jaeger is convinced his daughter has shown she has what it takes to become a champion. Andrea Jaeger has a date with Evert Lloyd in the finals. Is still to come.
I feel the pressure more now. I can remember when I was Andrea's age, I would go out there and play Billie Jean or Margaret Court and feel absolutely nothing. You know, go out there and play loose, and knowing that, well, if I don't beat him this year, you know, I'll have a crack at him next year. And I had time on my side, and I used that to my advantage. But now it's, you know, I know that I don't have 10 more years of my career, and I try to put more into each match that I play, because, you know, you never know, it might be my last match.
When the eyes of the world press are focused upon you, you might figure the nerves would take over, but not with these two. They have cruised through their respective halves of the draw. Lloyd in the near court without the loss of a set and only 15 games. Ditto for Jaeger, who has dropped but 11 games. This win is a must if Evert Lloyd hopes to re-attain the title that used to be reserved for her alone. Best player in the world. Jaeger comes onto the court with nothing to lose. This is a 15-year-old kid going against the greatest Claycourt player of all time. John Newcomb, Pat Summerall, Tony Trabert, and the folks at CBS bring the match to a nationwide TV audience. Evert Lloyd says the tennis achievement of which she's proudest is her amazing record on clay. From 1973, starting at this very tournament, through 1979, Lloyd won 125 consecutive matches on clay. Then came a narrow loss to Tracy Austin in the Italian Open. And since then, Chrissie has embarked on a new streak, something she has no intention of yielding to Jaeger today. This is the surface on which the great Chris Evert Lloyd dominates. You don't expect the daughter of a former prize fighter to give up easily. What makes Jaeger such a pleasure to watch is that never-say-die pursuit of each and every ball. Jaeger is the first to score a service break in the 59-minute opening set. That forces Evert Lloyd to pull out her overwhelming arsenal of shots, something that can be devastating to even the most dogged of competitors. This is a woman who many thought had retired for good earlier in the year, but now she is back, maybe better than ever. There was a Wimbledon finalist appearance in July, a US Open title to come, and after this point, the first set by a 6-4 score. The loss of the first set makes the rambunctious teenager that much more determined. With a patience that at one point lasts through 49 strokes, Jaeger seems willing to stay out there all day if necessary. The length of the rallies is obviously taking its toll on the younger of the participants, but when the situation calls for it, Jaeger shows she is capable of changing her game effectively. As the match wears on, Evert Lloyd becomes more the aggressor. Chrissie advances to the net on Jaeger's short returns, and winning volleys are the reward. An early service break in the second set, and before you know it, match point looms. This will perhaps show best how dominating Chris Evert Lloyd can be. The match is history, and so is Chrissie's 6-4, 6-3 victory. It is her 6th US Claycourt title. What a future for this young woman. Andrea Jaeger, a finalist today, a champion tomorrow. This woman of astounding accomplishments is presented $30,000 for her performance from Frank E. McKinney Jr. of American Fletcher National Bank and Richard Zapapas of Elizabeth Arden. The men's final promises to bring the same excitement.